Welcome to the sequel of my worst performing video of all time. I'm liking Nitara so much that no amount of gray arrows pointing down in my YouTube analytics can stop me. Last episode was a more general overall musing of the character, some potential team-ups, early basic game plan, and coming to terms with, or simply not caring about, low starting health. This episode and those that come after it will be a bit more focused, taking a deeper dive into 2 cameos to compare similar tools and any semblance of crossover, starting with the Cryomancers, Sub-Zero and Frost. Sub-Zero adds 50 to the health cap and a hard-hitting forward throw, 130 damage compared to the standard 110. Frost provides no extra health, but a little extra damage from the standard forward throw. Frost is quite unique from Sub-Zero, as her freeze hits low and travels the entire stage, and iced out hits mid with a range just short of forward 1. While he may be outclassed in hit level and range, he more than makes up for it in hit advantage, speed, and better damage scaling. Episode 1 spent a lot of time reviewing blood sacrifice done mid-combo, namely grounded combos. As to not ignore dive kick again, arguably the most common combo starter, Frost can freeze but it's awkward and about 100 damage less than a normal B&B from the starter, so not worth it in the majority of cases, if ever. Sub-Zero on the other hand gives more consistency in damage, making this more of a reliable option. I'm not going to go too much into it here since I feel like I want to dedicate an entire video or more to forward 1 alone, but it doesn't have a lot of cancel advantage, hence the gap in the forward 1-2 string itself. I only mention this here because my first thought with Ice Carpet is the obvious mix-up, despite the easy-ish overhead low fuzzy block. Forward 1 is -5, so if they're trying to fuzzy block, they open themselves up to throws and so on. But even Quan here can poke out of this on block. If Quan just mashes after forward 1, the worst case for him is eating the overhead in a knockdown, but no combo, or his down 1 is blocked and you take your turn back. Sub-Zero's freeze beats Quan here and will still trade with 7 frames, but it hits mid, so there's less of a reason to risk this on block. Shoulder beats Quan's down 1, but starts to trade at 8 frames. Ice Crash also starts to trade at 8 frames, and the gap between forward 1 and Ice Carpet is big enough that it won't start trading until 10 frames. This isn't a deal breaker, but as I continue to evaluate Nitara teams, making forward 1 more threatening in literally any way is a high priority for me. This is a decent enough segue to their respective reversals, so let's keep it going. For Sub-Zero, it's Cold Shoulder, 23 startup frames and a knockdown on hit that pushes the opponent almost full screen. It's neutral or slightly plus on block point blank and more plus from further back, the later it hits in the animation. Like all cameo reversals, it's a full combo punish on block when used in the wake up or reversal window. Ice Crash is slower but +4 on block, also a full combo punish when blocked as a wake up or reversal. It's not without some healthy pushback, but you can't always rely on that to save you. I really like using this move as a poke all by itself in neutral, a great space enforcer with good frames on block or hit, guaranteeing a blood sacrifice on knockdown. Sub also gets this guaranteed. His has less hit advantage but enough space that it doesn't really matter. And rounding out the face-off, things get a bit more interesting with their ambushes, a category that Frost would have nothing to offer not too long ago. The projectile-immunity armor from Sub-Zero can really turn the tide of an oppressive matchup. Nitara doesn't struggle as much as some other characters to get around zoning because of her air mobility, but Li Mei's lamp, for example, completely shuts down Nitara's air approach. The armor's easy to set up after ending a combo and back forward too, when Nitara's left at a distance that requires her to approach, assuming that the opponent isn't eager to come to her. S-tier ambush without a doubt. If half a cameo meter remains, you can spend it on a 2-in-1 cancel into Cold Shoulder. If your combo ended in back 4-2 and with the opponent cornered, the shoulder hits meaty, around +50 on block, for guaranteed back 2 pressure, blood sacrifice, or whatever ideas you may have. Frost didn't even have an ambush until recently when she was gifted this ice wall, providing a corner situation mid-screen. I was initially really excited for this move, but had trouble finding good uses for it with Melina, but wouldn't be surprised if I missed something. Nitara, however, is a bit different. I already feel like she's throwing you around like a ragdoll with way above average corner carry, and Ice Wall gives her that much more control over positioning. For example, this combo has enough corner carry from this position on the stage, even though Nitara is closer to the corner that's behind her. If this combo starts from just a little further back, it doesn't quite make it. But thanks to Ice Wall, the same combo starter from the same position can still give her full corner carry, just in the other direction. In the corner, Nitara gets this huge knockdown advantage set up by ending in a dive kick. Enough advantage for a blood sacrifice and still have time to meaty forward 1, and Ice Wall can provide the same setup and spacing. Mid-screen, the last dive kick of this combo whiffs and can set up back 2, repositioning, or whatever else you want to do. With the Ice Wall, the dive kick connects, providing the setup. I really like this on combos that start with dive kick in particular. Jump 1, 2, 4 into a down forward air dash, and while you're still holding down forward, pressing cameo registers the down cameo input. Then finish the combo with another jump 1, 2, 4 cancelled into dive kick. My issue with a lot of mid-combo ambushes is how awkward the timing can feel sometimes, which is a turnoff, even if the utility is good. What I like about this conversion in particular is that since the down cameo follows the down forward air dash, the entire series of inputs feels really natural. The ambush feels like part of the whole sequence, not something I'm simply trying to wedge in between things I'm already doing. If forward one hits and is cancelled into Ice Carpet, thus exhausting the cameo meter, the subsequent combo is long enough that Frost is already back to half meter by the time it's over. Overall, I think Sub-Zero suffers from the same thing as Sonya and some others. Their tools are basic but powerful. Too basic almost, especially in contrast to DLC cameos or even some of their launching roster cohorts. So the list for Sub-Zero stops there, but Frost has a couple additional abilities. 5 total versus Sub's 3. 4 if you consider the 2-in-1 cancel option. Frosty's Revenge, a series of highs, can be good for pushback and chip sequences, but its startup is 30 frames, making it nigh impossible to gel. And of course, Frost Orb. I love me some Frost Orb. I've tried to make Frost work with so many teams, most unsuccessful, but a couple, like Ermac, can really synergize with its setup and Vortex. Nitara is the first time I've tried Frost without the idea of orb setups, but instead cancelling into the freeze for health regeneration mid-combo, and I'm also having fun with the Ice Wall. Look, I've loved Sub-Zero since the day we met in the fall of 1992, and I think I'll use him for some matchups like Li Mei and maybe a couple others. And while there are no winners or losers here, Frost is much more my style, and she completes that edgelord Dark Lady theme I have going on, and that counts for something, and I wish I was kidding about that. And that wraps up episode 2, Attack of the Clones, or Cryomancers, or something. The next episode will be a continuation of this format. 2 cameos with some crossover, compared side by side while I continue to flesh out my new character and settle on a cameo, or cameos. And one last note before I leave you this time. Not once have I ever asked anyone to like, subscribe, share, ring that bell, and so on, and I don't really plan to do so. You all know how YouTube works, you don't need me to tell you. I only bring this up because the channel recently passed a milestone, hitting the halfway mark on the sub requirement for YouTube Partner. So thanks for that. I really do appreciate your viewership, and I appreciate that you appreciate what I'm doing here, even if it's still rough. The channel is still in its infancy and highly pliable. Those that frequent these parts may have noticed things changing from video to video as I continue to experiment and decide on what I feel works and what doesn't, and your feedback is a big part of that. If there's anything different you'd like to see here, feel free to be vocal about it. I consider everything, even if I don't implement it. And I read all the comments and interact as much as I can. So thanks for watching, and please continue to like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell only if you feel like it. And no, if you ever hear that from me again, it's against my will.